So I'm now 20 seconds early, so perfect, so always on time. So we can start with the show. So welcome to the 127th edition of airhacks TV. And there were not that many questions, but I got a lot of questions on my YouTube channel, the shorts. So I couldn't actually process them all, so there is some overflow to the airhacks. Because some questions, what I usually do, I answer questions with a new short, but some of them are really hard to explain in a short. You will see in a moment. And the interesting, the two hardest questions I got yesterday in a short, so we can take a look on this. And so let's start with the very first, which is the question from my YouTube channel. And this is the YouTube channel. So if you go here to Bean Adam Shorts, you will find them. And this was the question, what is faster, String.join? Exactly. And these were the comments. And what's wrong? Where are my comments? So let's see. Comments were here. Still no comments. Wow, this was not right. So I need. So let's do this again. So it has to be YouTube.com Bean Adam and Shorts. Adam and Shorts. I have the comments actually in the gist, but yeah. And by the way, a nice badge live. So I didn't know that is actually working. So what is the fast? So this was the short exactly. So and these are the comments. Okay, now it's working. So what happened? The first thing is what I did is I was asked about the performance of String.join to Collectors.joining. And what I did, I concatenated 10 million strings and then measured the performance. But I measured the performance with basically system current millis. What I actually did is duration between. And I got this comment, please use micro benchmark harness, which is, by the way, great. Also use it several times, also on my YouTube channel. JMH is an OpenJDK project, so it's a great tool. But I thought about that, and I say, and I think, so it is not always necessary to use JMH, right? Because in my opinion, if you have a higher level functionality from user perspective, it is absolutely okay to measure just time. This is not like I'm really interested in what happens behind the scenes. Rather than I'm more interested, what is the rough impression, right? What is faster? And interestingly, String.join was 30% faster than Collectors.joining. And what I did, I also looked at the implementation, and it is completely different, by the way. The String.join it looks like a for loop, so it's just highly optimized, and Collectors.joining is just a regular stream API. And therefore, it is 20 to 30% faster. So I would say, so this is also what I replied is that I don't think that with JMH we will get different results. We could make it more scientific, so repeatable. So we can tell JMH do that for five times. And also what JMH does and what we could do is, for instance, to disable all the compiler JIT optimizations, which might be a problem. So I would say, if the benchmark, this is my personal opinion, but feel free, to add comments to. So my personal opinion is that as long as you get some reasonable numbers and you know what to expect, it is okay, to measure with system current millis. But what can happen is that if you just use system current millis and you measure the performance in a for loop, and you get performance 0 milliseconds because the JIT is smart. And it optimizes and it finds out, it's like, okay, look, nothing happens here. So I just, remove all the bytecode. So you measure basically nothing. But as long as the numbers are reasonable, I think it is absolutely okay to use, duration. So by the way, I also think that JMH, I misused JMH for stress tests, which is also a great idea. So this was that, and on the same note, I got actually a question, which is say, what is there was an interview question. This is a good hint. Otherwise, I wouldn't answer this, right? And this is from VJ, and he asked me, what is faster, abstract class or interface? And I think that this is actually an excellent interview question, right? So if you go to a company and someone asks you, what is faster, abstract class or interface? So I actually thought about that, and I think you shouldn't answer right away, because my impression or opinion is that the performance of interface and abstract class is comparable. So it's not like interface is a lot faster than abstract class. Interface should be a little bit more faster. And it is also invoked behind the scenes in bytecode a little bit differently, but I think the performance is comparable. What I think where the interview question is going is you should counter answer say, okay, abstract classes can have state and interfaces cannot. This is the main difference between interfaces and abstract classes. So therefore, if you have a state in an abstract class, stateful, then the abstract class will be slower than an interface, which is stateless. But if you really need the state, then you could, for instance, cache stuff in an abstract class, which you cannot do in an interface, and then the abstract class will be actually faster than an interface. So I would say such interview questions, usually what I would say a good interviewer will expect from you is, like an answer where you can actually reason about you can also, because the question doesn't make any sense. No one in a project will actually go with interfaces, be faster or abstract classes because they are faster. Usually, maintainability is and simplicity and code readability are more important than not even milliseconds. I think there are microseconds, right? So therefore, I would say a very good question. I would answer in your case. Interfaces should be a bit faster. If you don't need abstract class, go with interface because inheritance is overstated. And if you have an interface, you can have default methods and you can even implement a kind of a template pattern, which previously was only possible with abstract classes. And if you answer this way, I think you are good for the interview if the company is reasonable, right? And of course, if your interviewer had no idea about Java, then you have a problem. But if I would answer this way. So a straight answer is, my feeling is interfaces should be a bit faster, but it shouldn't matter in real world projects. And you should explain, that just pick what you model. And abstract classes, you can model more state. There's more object oriented, and interfaces a bit more procedural. Perfect. Thank you for the question. So there are the two questions from a recent short. And the problem is I have roughly 650 shorts. I think it's not true because last year I had 500. And there's one, so I should have already 800. But YouTube claims more than 650. So I think that's right. So now, Mr. Jones... this is, I think, Miss Hayden Jones, asked me, I'm considering looking at Quarkus. Yeah, you don't have to look, you just use it, right? So this is, how do you recommend setting up your workspace to use it? JDK man versus JBank, can I use Quarkus by just using a Quarkus POM file without installing Quarkus? Yeah, absolutely. It's a bit dangerous here, wait a sec. Let's see. So now go to airhacks TV, create airhacks TV. And by the way, this Quarkus is a CLI. You can download the CLI. But if I show you the project here, the project name will be TV. And if I open this, you will find that this is the POM. And if you just clone the project, you have it. So there is nothing else to do, right? So this was a Quarkus project from scratch. Maven Quarkus dev. For unknown reasons, I always do this with capital D. And now it is running. So this was your first Quarkus project. So absolutely, there's nothing to do. So there's nothing to install in Quarkus. It's basically just a project. So what Quarkus comprises is one plugin, and this is basically it. So and what I do, I never do actually this Quarkus create. What I usually do in my projects is, in my project, I just using I have a template, and I clone the template, and this is basically it. Okay. So what's your opinion on Quarkus tests? Such tests tend to replace simple unit tests and make build process slower. Absolutely. But Quarkus tests are integration tests, IT, and I use them from time to time, not very often, but sometimes it's convenient to use them. So I would say I have 90% of plain unit tests and some Quarkus tests. But my so maybe in a microservice project, I have roughly let's say 100 tests in total, right? So 90%, 90 unit tests, and maybe 10 to 5, or 5 to 10 Quarkus tests. But having said that, in my system tests, almost everything is Quarkus test, because what I can do with Quarkus test, I can make system tests reusable. And I plan to talk about this on upcoming conferences. Even there's a Silesia Java user group and the WJAX conference. So there's like enterprise Java and talk, and I would like to show or explain, how to reuse unit tests or unit test system tests. Okay, so thank you. So this was the my short demo here, live on airhacks. So let's see. I'm still speaking here. Okay, so now, so this was our agenda here. Now, so we covered this, and then this is Mr. Peter Isman. But the interesting part from San Rafael, Peter appeared in the 27th episode. So this is crazy, Peter. So if we take a look on that, not here, you have to open this. Take a look on this. I saw the same logo. Wait a sec. Peter, this was 8 years ago, right? So incredible. So thank you for following, and drop me a mail or ping me on LinkedIn or Twitter, and I show you a t-shirt if you like. So this is incredible. So so US might be tough, I don't know, but if it works, I send you one. Okay, now so and also excellent question, Peter. So the problem is you have Quarkus running as Lambda, and Lambda opens connection to our Postgres database, let's say RDS. So this AWS, yes, RDS, and and Quarkus gets shut down by AWS, and it's not the framework rather than Lambda runtime. This is what starts and stops Lambda. So now, and the question is now, what happens with the connections? And the answer is no one knows what happens with connections. What is the solution to the problem? The solution to the problem is called shutdown hook. And the shutdown hook, what it is you can register a thread, runtime, get runtime at shutdown hook. I also recorded a short about that, I don't know, 1 year ago. And then you can, in a runnable, you can close your connections. The good story is Quarkus can also do this. What you can do in Quarkus is you can close the connection in pre-destroy. So you can have application scope bin and have one method pre-destroy, and inside the method you can close the connection, and then everything is clean. Okay. Do you have any recent examples of GraalVM? Recent examples. So sometimes I use GraalVM, but there is nothing to show, because with Quarkus you should say Quarkus Maven package -p profile native, and you get a native image. This is basically it. In serverless, I try to avoid GraalVM because then I'm in charge of the image. And what I enjoy in serverless is that AWS or Azure, they are caring about the JVM. So this is the distinction. Okay. Now time machine. So and what happened 27 episodes ago? So we had Peter, which is incredible, 8 years ago. we're 8 years younger, all of us, right? So, sorry, I didn't answer this. JDK man versus JBank. So I don't have any of this. So I show you something. So if I would like to, so if I have a Java 21, I guess. So, but I can switch to Java 23, and if I do this, I should have Java 23. And if we take a look at this, maybe it works. You see, this is my trick. So I have just an export, and this is an alias. So it means export Java home. So I'm exporting this, and I'm done. That's all. This is my SDK man on Podman, whatever, and this works for years. So I don't know whether I have Java 17. No more. But I had J11 maybe? Yes, Java minus version is, wow. So now back to my world and my leisure is this. This is how I'm working. I understand if you like, use SDK man, but I don't need that. So this is how I work, and it works good for me. Good enough for me. Okay, so examples of GraalVM. So not particular examples. From time to time I use GraalVM. For instance, I use GraalVM always for my CLI tools. Lots of CLI tools, and I like to compile them natively. And then I use GraalVM. But what GraalVM really shines is it can start Node.js or Python, and you can even communicate between all the languages. So Sammy asked me, I have a question about JavaFX on mobile using Gluon. Go ahead, but I didn't use JavaFX for a longer time. But JavaFX is still a viable solution, and especially Gluon is an interesting company because you get support from a great team, from Johan Voss, and Johan Voss is really a very skilled JavaFX developer. Okay, so now which questions we were 8 years ago? So Java 8 news, we don't need it. Interceptors and dependency injection. And still a thing. So recently I developed lots of interceptors, container request filters, container response filters, and message body readers and writers with Quarkus. And I use dependency injection everywhere, so it just works. Then concurrency is interesting. So this is so EJBs, you could choose whether they are whether they are single threaded or multi-threaded. And if you forget EJBs, then everything is not locked. So if you have application scoped or singleton, everything uses like Java class which is not synchronized. So then we have forget about Moxie and Glassfish. It's outdated. Remote and local EJBs also outdated. And boundary control entity, interesting. So boundary control entity is still a thing. So the question is, can a boundary communicate, not community? So today I thought what I meant by communities is communicate with entity. Absolutely. And actually, I would say 2 weeks ago, there was an architectural workshop in an important project, and they asked me, can you create for us like a reference application? And we talk about a CRUD, and they were a little bit disappointed because what I did in a CRUD, there was a JAX-RS resource with an entity manager and an entity. There was nothing else, so it was good enough. It was like 2 classes basically. So this is absolutely okay, and from my perspective, it would be a defect if a boundary would communicate with an empty control, for instance, right? Okay, stateful EJBs versus session scoped. What's the difference? The difference is the session scope works more or less with JSession ID. And the stateful EJBs, if you have a reference to EJBs, you had the state. So this is how this works. So you could combine both. And by the way, session scoped or conversational scope could become a thing again, right? With the LLMs, because conversation scope is just perfect for LLMs. Okay, Sammy asked me, I did a mobile app on iOS and Android and released it. What I can say, it is really hard. Java is fun and great, but the stack is hard and not productive. What do you think? I think it's the same true for, it's called Fluffy, not Fluffer. Forgot the name. Not Fluffer. Last time I also forgot it, so I always forget the name. There's a framework. It's not called Fluffy, and You know what I mean? And this framework, which is Dart-based from Google, so you have, to install the entire setup, and it's a gigabytes of it. It takes 1 hour to install. Flutter, exactly. This is not Fluffer rather than Flutter, exactly. And this Flutter, and so the experience is good, but deploying to the app stores is always a pain. And even Android was not fun with back then, with all the Maven configs. So yeah, this is what I can tell you. It's never fun with app stores, I would say. But without app stores is cool. But Sami, kudos that you actually did it. So it's great. So I think this is one of the shortest, right? AirHacks TV. So this was like next time we do Halloween edition, right? So today was like easygoing, end of summer. And let's see. So I think we covered everything. So if I knew, I would even. So there are lots of questions, but they are 8 years old. And so this basically was. So if you attend, I'm at DevOps on Thursday. So say hello to me, and I will have stickers and maybe even T-shirts, and it depends. But yeah, I'm always open for a chat. So just come to me and say hey. And if you see me, on the hallway, just say hello. It's always fun. So with that, I would say thank you a lot. See you at upcoming conferences. So this is DevOps. Next week is a Java user group, Silesia. And then I think there is a WJAX. And I'm also on reInvent this year in Las Vegas. So I'm also there. So if you're attending reInvent, I'm always open to a chat. So thank you a lot. And yeah, bye.